Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining me again here on a special edition of the Traveling in Ireland broadcast. Today's virtual visit is with Fiona Dalton. Fiona is the tour guide and creator of Dalton's, I'm going to mess it up, Fiona. You're a singing tour guide, so it's Dublin Singing History Tours, and I know I've gotten that wrong,
Fair
so go
enough.
ahead and correct me.
Dalton's musical history tour.
There it is. Oh my goodness. I
You're
was so
okay.
close. And the thing is, I went over my notes and I still stumbled,
That's okay.
it is what it is. So Fiona does a walking tour through Dublin, but it's a little different than your traditional walking tour because you're not just following a guide and listening to them talk. Um, you're interacting almost with history. So Fiona, why don't you tell people about your tour?
Okay, so Dalton's musical history tour. It's a 2 hour walking tour, mainly around Dame Street, which is the main hub in Dublin, which is quite near Temple Bar. So there are 6 stops, and each stop has a song attached to it. So we have, say, Christchurch, and because George Frederic Handel's Messiah was performed there in 1742, we do a bit of Handel's Messiah. Not all of it, obviously, because it's 3.5 hours long. We do the Hallelujah chorus, as it's the easiest out of the lot to teach. And surprisingly enough, a lot of my tourists have actually know the Hallelujah chorus. So I haven't had to sing, they've sang it for me, which is even better. So I do a brief history of say, Christchurch. I'll take as an example of Christchurch, where it came from, what it is, where it started.
Mhm.
And then we go into George Frederic Handel because it's a musical tour. So we talk about George Frederic Handel, who he was, why he came to Dublin, and what is the significance of Christchurch with the Handel's Messiah. I explain what the Messiah is, how it's so there's 53 movements in that particular song. So if you put that in today's terms, that's 7.5 albums. So he wrote 7.5 albums in 3.5 weeks. So in that respect, he was a genius in his own right. So I try and put a bit of local history into it as well, make it a bit of fun. And I will sing a bit of the song, and then I would teach it if they already know it, and we all sing it together. So they're getting an Irish experience, and they're singing along with me on the streets of Dublin.
And
Basically.
it's a different history experience than you might get on a regular walking tour. Because while a lot of walking tours do include Christchurch Cathedral, they don't take in the Handel aspect of it. And so when you're doing this walking tour through Dublin with Fiona, you're getting a different experience than you would on a regular history tour. It's a bit deeper almost, but then singing the songs gives you the interaction with history as well.
Absolutely, yes. And I think people at first are a bit scared because at first when I started I was scared, but I enjoy it now. And of course I dress up, which feels like I'm a character of the city. And but once they get to know one or two songs, they'll actually come in and they'll sing along. And they like to know the history of a lot of the Irish songs and where they came from. So a lot of those wouldn't be on specifically the walking tours in Dublin. They wouldn't be part of the tours. So they like to know where the songs came from and the people behind them, the singers as well.
And having done your tour, I can attest to feeling not really scared, but maybe a little self-conscious at first because people do stop and they do watch and they do maybe look at you like, why are you breaking out into song standing in the middle of the courtyard of Dublin Castle? But it's great fun. I
Yes.
absolutely love it.
It's all about having fun. It's all about interaction, and it's all about having an Irish experience, I suppose.
So, how did you choose the sites that are currently on your tour? I know that you've played with a few different um, spots, and obviously Dublin has loads of musical history. So, how did you choose the sites that are on your tour currently? And might there be sites that you are looking at adding?
So when I first put the tour together, I had to walk around the city, and I needed to find how many spots I could squeeze into 2 hours, because I think 2 hours at that particular, I think is enough for someone to, after 2 hours, people's brain starts to wander and people get tired. So I'd say I'd try it with 2 hours and see how it worked. And then I'm a singer myself, so I love music. And I've always loved, I learned Handel in school, funnily enough, so I knew quite a bit about Handel. And because a lot of people didn't know much about the Irish history, outside college, I did 6 weeks work experience in Dublin Castle as a guide. And while I was there, I was asking people, well, what do you think about Irish music? And people were saying like they didn't know about the history, or they'd like to know more. So that's where I got the idea. And because nobody else was, there was 1 or 2 people with guitars singing on the street, but there was nobody else doing what I was doing. So the first couple I did trial-wise was a bit strange of people watching it instead of singing on the street. It was nerve-wracking. But then I realized that people enjoyed it. So I picked James Street because it's quite historical. And I could fit the songs around. We have Dublin Castle, so we have the Foggy Dew, which is part of 1916.
Oh, my favorite.
I love that one, and especially the Sinead O'Connor version, which I do. It's a slow down completely. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, you've got the famous Molly Malone course. So that fitted in with Cockles and Mussels. Then we decided to maybe put in a different type of history, say musical theatre. So we went with the theatre that we have. So, and then we wanted to do immigration, but we couldn't figure out along the keys, because the keys are quite narrow. If I have a group, it's very hard to keep them together. So we picked Smock Alley because it's a larger part of the keys. And then I wanted to bring bit of Viking medieval Dublin into it, because that's where I did my college in. So we picked Dublin City Council offices, which obviously there's no more Viking there, but it is the Viking settlement. And I know that the song is more Baroque because there's not many Viking songs out there, so we went with Greensleeves. So it's all about finding the story behind the songs and telling them, and then having a bit of fun learning the songs. So
well, and you know, because Ireland is known for its music and its storytellers, the fact that you've brought it all together in such a unique way, just, it really does make your tour one of my very favorite in Dublin. I can't recommend it enough, and it's such a unique experience.
It's great fun. And then I decided I'd do it in dress as well, obviously. That came about, was it March of last year? And my friend was going, why don't you dress up for fun? So we went around the city, took loads of photographs, and from the reaction I got on the street, I decided I'd trial it, and yeah, it's great. So whatever I can find, that I'm learning how to use a sewing machine for a long time. I've never sewed before, which is pretty cool. And so I'm getting it all secondhand, and I'm revamping them up to look Georgian style, or my type of Georgian style as well. So that's really working as well. And
it makes you very recognizable as you're walking through Dublin, as you learned last January when I accosted you in the middle of one of your tours.
Yes, no, it is great fun, and that they have great fun with the outfits, to try the hats on and stuff like. So it is good fun. And that's what it's all about, having some fun in Dublin.
So obviously you are not in Dublin right now. You have escaped the city before the lockdown, and you're rusticating in the country, to put it in a way that sounds, much better than on lockdown.
Yeah.
So what are you thinking about? Are there any changes you're thinking of making, any updates? Now that you have time to maybe step back and look at the past year and a half of this tour, are there any changes you would like to make while you've got this time, or are you really happy with how it's gone so far?
I think I'm happy with the way it's gone so far. I've got to a stage where the doors were about to open, and all of a sudden they've been shut back into my face again.
Right, yeah.
I am thinking, because I'm from Lucan, I'm just outside the city, putting together a local tour of Lucan.
Now tell people where Lucan is, because
Okay.
I'm sure that most people have no idea where this is at.
So Lucan, a lot of people call it the sticks. We're still out in the country. So it is 10 kilometres outside the city centre. We're right on the border of County Kildare, so we are literally in the country. And that is where I live with my dad and my brother and my dog. And I have lived there all my life, all 46 years. So I decided it might take a while for people to come back in with the lockdown and stuff. I might try and get the domestic market in. People who are local might even hit the local schools and bring them on a walking tour of my local area. We have a Augustinian monastery that nobody knows about that's sitting at the back of one of my local pubs. There is an awful lot of history. The Vikings are part of it, so I thought maybe I've done quite a lot of it through college. I might try and do something. I mean, I know quite a lot of the local businesses because I'm a wedding singer as well, and they know me. So I was talking to them before the lockdown, so they all are 100% behind me. I have the hotel behind me. The local radio station are going to interview me as well, which is great. And then with the tour itself, I'm thinking of going virtual, but not do other parts of Dublin online rather than give away my own tour itself. Maybe try something different. It is going maybe with pictures and stuff, I'm not exactly sure. And then I'm working on another tour called Clochtka. Did I tell you about Clochtka?
No.
Okay. Clochtka is, she is a goddess from County Meath, and we put this tour together last year. We launched it, and that is in for this year. So basically she is the goddess of Halloween. So I dress up as a goddess and tell the story of her life in a half-an-hour floor show.
Oh, wow. And Halloween, I know Halloween tourism really, Ireland kind of embraced Halloween tourism last year, which is terrific because it's always been one of my favorite times to visit. So I love hearing that there's kind of taking of that. Most people don't realize that Halloween is a Celtic holiday. So.
And Halloween originated in Ireland, in Athboy. So it's telling the whole story of where Halloween came from, but it's in its infancy at the moment. We launched it at Halloween to see how it would work with the local market and stuff. So there is that as well. If the lockdown continues and it takes people more longer to get back into Ireland. So
right.
There is that as well. So.
Right. And so how are you coping? I know that you've got you've gotten out of Dublin, so you've got some wide open space around you. So everything's going well.
The problem is we're only allowed to go 2 kilometers. We can't go any further than 2 kilometers from the house. So I do 5 kilometer walk every day. So I go back and forth just within the 2 kilometers. Yeah, I know, it's a bit mad. I've started learning to play the guitar. So I have a Spanish guitar that my family bought me 3 Christmases ago. So I've decided that I'm going to learn it, and maybe when I'm competent with it, I might bring it out on the tours.
Oh, maybe fun.
Maybe next year.
maybe some musical accompaniment.
Absolutely, yeah.
Excellent.
So yeah, it's just taking it day by day. As you've noticed on my Facebook page, I've been putting up a picture quiz every day. So people are jumping on it, which is great. People are getting it, and other people are, sometimes it takes them a bit longer to figure out where it is, but it seems to be keeping the momentum going, which is really good.
And then, it's fun to get those little shots of Dublin that maybe you've walked by and you haven't noticed. I know there are a few, I'm like, I've seen it, I can't place it.
Yes, and I'm going to my photographs and I'm exactly the same, and I was going, okay, I know where that is, but people seem to be engaging with it and they're having fun with it as well. And then on my music page, I've been putting up a song per day it started off on St. Patrick's Day just to, you know, do a bit of fun. And then people were saying, well, why don't you do one every day? So I'm learning I'm learning songs every single day to put up for the evening time. So, but yeah, it keeps the brain going as well, which is good.
Exactly. Well, Fiona, for people to learn more about your musical history tour, as well as get in touch with you and, you know, hopefully when they get to Dublin, book back in with you, what are the ways that they can kind of keep contact with you?
Well, I am on the website, so that's www.daltonsmusicalhistorytour.com. Facebook, we have Dalton's Musical History Tour. I'm on Twitter and Instagram under Fiona Dalton. So the Twitter handle is at Singing Tour Guide. Mm-hmm. And then Instagram is Dublin Singing Tour Guide, but they're under my own name, Fiona Dalton. You'll find it out there.
Perfect. And I will have those linked in the show notes, so people can very easily just click right through and connect with you in the best way for them.
Absolutely, yes.
Terrific. Well, Fiona, thanks so much for taking a few minutes today to join me. You know, keep healthy, and I hope to see you in the fall.
Fingers crossed, all going well. Look after yourself and have a great day. Take care.